This video is gonna be really special. This is the most exciting video I think I have made yet, in my opinion, because it's one of the ones I should have started with first, besides introducing myself, which I will do soon, just to do an introduction video. But this video is gonna be about what is a spiritual awakening. So many people are experiencing it, and when you're on the beginning of your journey, you might not know what it is. It might be confusing, and I've been going through this process for a few years, and I feel like it's time to finally make, from my own experience, what a spiritual awakening is, and how exciting, because the world's waking up. Everyone's we're gonna have a mass awakening. It's like everyone's starting to wake up, and it's such a beautiful thing, but it's a very confusing thing when you start out on this journey. So I think this video will really help a lot of people. I'm really excited to make it. It's very dear to me, very dear to my heart. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm excited. So let's dive into this. I wore my special shirt, the all-seeing eye. It says look within. So got my crystal. I'm out of sage right now, so I can't use sage to clear space, but the sun's not out, but there's this amazing light shining in my room right now. Everything's falling into place. I just saw 144, and let's begin so I don't waste anyone else's time. So what is a spiritual awakening? You may be going through a spiritual awakening, or most likely if you're watching this video, you are going through a spiritual awakening, and you're wondering, what the hell am I going through? Am I going crazy? What's happening to me? Why do I feel different? Why am I thinking different? So I want to go into what is a spiritual awakening. For me personally, when you begin awakening, you start asking all these questions. You start questioning life, and you start questioning if there's a deeper meaning to life. You question God, you question reality, you question your existence in this world, so that's, for me, a spiritual awakening is a sudden shift in perception, in consciousness. It's like waking up from spiritual amnesia, and you're all of a sudden looking around, you're starting to see things differently, you're starting to notice that everything that you were told isn't the whole truth, and most people think reality is what you can perceive with your physical senses, and when you're beginning to awaken, you realize that's not all there is to reality, and you start realizing there's so much more, and there's so many mysteries and secrets to life and reality. And so that's what a spiritual awakening is to me, when you have a sudden drastic change in perception and your consciousness is expanding, and you go on this journey down the rabbit hole. And that's fun to talk about too, because many people, I don't know if they've seen The Matrix, but a lot of people call it falling down the rabbit hole, because when you start awakening, if you've seen The Matrix, it's like red pill or blue pill, and once you take, I forget which pill it is, because I've only seen The Matrix once, and I saw it after my awakening, so it was kind of fun to watch, knowing that it's kind of based off of real life things that have to do with when you awaken. But it's like there's no turning back. Once you start awakening, which is it's a very natural part of your evolution, your spiritual evolution. And right now we're going through a major shift in consciousness, so a lot of people are awakening. And once you begin your journey of awakening, it's like you can't turn around, you can't go back. Nothing will ever be the same. Life will never be the same. You will never be the same. And another definition for me is awakening is, damn it, I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, awakening is a re-remembering of who you really are and what you really are. So when you're awakening, it's like peeling back the layers of illusion that you thought you were. And it's like an onion. Like, imagine you're the onion. These are the onion peels, the layers, and you peel them off. And you keep peeling until you reveal the true, pure self. The true self. I like to call it, recently this term came into my mind, the God self, your God self, because we're all divinity in disguise. And in the third dimension, we forget. We go into this illusion. They call it Maya in the ancient Hindu scriptures, and it's another word for illusion. So it's like we forget our true selves, and when you awaken, you go on this journey to reveal the true self, and it's an inner journey. My shirt says go within. It's all an inner journey, and it's the most beautiful journey, but it's not easy. I mean, when you get on this journey, all of the things that you thought you were will leave you. They'll die. That part of you will die. And so the person you thought you were, or this ego identity, this mask you've been wearing your entire life, thinking, like when people ask you, who are you? Oh, I'm Melissa. I'm 28. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. All these things that you define yourself as, that's not really you. Your true essence is your divine, spiritual God self. We are spiritual beings going through a temporary human experience, and a lot of people forget that, and they're in an amnesia, and they forget that when you are living this life, it's only one part of the movie, one part of the dream, and there's so much more to life, and they forget that they are eternal souls. They forget that they're divinity in disguise, and they start identifying too much with their earthly human body. And I was just thinking yesterday, like, my soul feels very free right now. And so I'm using this physical vessel that's kind of restricted, like, to earth. Can't fly, can't do like things that my soul is used to doing. And I used to have dreams of flying when I was little. It's like my soul misses certain things, and I know that may sound crazy to a lot of people, but on earth you're kind of like stuck in this body. It's kind of constricting, right? Like you can't do a lot of things that inside, your soul is free. I'm kind of getting off subject, but I want to get into, I have notes, you guys, because normally I don't take notes and I get so off subject, and I just kind of want to stay on track for this video. I really want to get the information out there for those of you who may be watching this and maybe need to hear anything in this video. I'm going to tell you guys my story of awakening and kind of what happens on the path of awakening and everything that I think you guys need to know about awakening. And I know everyone is going through this process, but this video is more for the people that aren't, that haven't been going through it for a long time. It's new to them, and they're in that phase where they're confused and they don't know what's happening, and they're questioning their sanity and questioning, like, what the hell is happening to me? It's very confusing. I'm going to tell you guys a bunch of funny stories about when I began awakening, and just a whole bunch of funny things that I thought, like, it's going to be a fun video. So I wanted to say that awakening is not one big event. It's not like, boom, you're awakened, you're enlightened, you're Buddha, you're Jesus. Like, awakening is a, like, progressive series of, like, awakenings. It's an unfoldment process until you reveal the true self. It's not something that you are trying to get to a certain point. It's all about the journey. It's not the destination. So it's an unfoldment process. Basically, you're peeling back the layers of the onion slowly. And what I like to think of it as, I call, like, the things I find out on my awakening, I call them pieces of the puzzle. And like every few years, every year, every few months, I get a piece of the puzzle. And it's like, it makes life and everything in it makes so much more sense. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but it's like you get these revelations, and I call those pieces of the puzzle. So along your awakening, you'll come to a realization about certain things, and then suddenly it's all clear. Everything is like the reason why everything is the way it is starts to make sense. So I call them pieces of the puzzle. I've been collecting them since 2012. I still don't have the full picture. I'm kind of still in the middle, more towards the beginning of my awakening. And each time I have like a huge like awakening, because like I said, it's an unfoldment. You will have multiple awakenings. There's this quote by Madame Blavatsky. Damn it, I don't have it with me, but it's like each time you awaken, you think that's all there is to know. You think that's reality. Then you have another awakening and you move up 1111, and then you think that's all there is, and it just keeps happening. It's an unfoldment. It is a series of awakenings. It's not one big bam, you awaken, you're enlightened like Buddha. So it's important to say that, because a lot of people, they don't know when they're on the beginning of their journey. They're like, oh, I just had an awakening, like, you know, and now I am fully enlightened. It doesn't work like that. It's a lifelong journey, and it's a beautiful one, and it's a hard one. It's not all full of rainbows and butterflies. It is letting a part of yourself die, and it is painful, and you have some healing to do on your awakening journey, and you come to... I lost my train of thought. That's why I have my notes, because I always do that. I'm gonna tell you guys a list of like everything that happens on your awakening journey, but first, the most exciting part is telling you guys my story of awakening, because I know I have not made an official video about my awakening, and I'm sure people are interested in it, because like I like to personally hear people's stories of awakening. We all like to hear each other, so I just want to take a moment. I never do this, and I always think it sounds cheesy, but like I'm at this point where I don't care what it sounds like. If I feel like I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and if you guys accept it, great. If not, it's okay too. So I just want to take a moment. I'm very grateful right now, and I want to just take a moment, step back, be present, breathe, and express my gratitude. Putting my crystal on my third eye, and just take a deep breath with me. How I like to do it when I'm feeling so overwhelmed with gratitude is I like to stop everything I'm doing and breathe in once. Inhale. Gratitude, love, fill yourself up, fill your heart up with gratitude, with the love that you're feeling. And then exhale. And that's my way of expressing gratitude to the universe when I start feeling very grateful for things. And then the sun comes out. How perfect. So if you guys want to do that again, I'm just going to do it really quick. Breathe in love, gratitude, fill your heart up. Exhale, send it out into the world, into the universe. Thank you. So let's start with my awakening journey. So what's really funny is I'm gonna grab some books, because my awakening started with falling down the rabbit hole. I bought so many books. I call it soul studies. You start to go on this like frenzy of just finding out all this new information, and I want to show you guys some of the books I bought in the beginning of my journey, and just hold on one second. So, one thing I want to say before I talk about my journey is in my favorite book. Okay, here we are. Favorite book, I know I mention it in almost every video, Tom Kenyon, Great Human Potential. Okay, so in this book it says, what are we waking up to? I suppose it depends on the consciousness of the one waking up. For as the Vedas of ancient India say, knowledge is structured in consciousness. In other words, our level of development limits what we can be aware of. Some of us are waking up to the dangers of capitalistic fascism and its mind-boggling array of hypnotic advertising, encouraging us to buy more things we don't need. Some of us are waking up to anguished cries of an ecosystem in crisis and nearing collapse. Some are waking up further to the earth as a conscious living being, not just some inert hunk of rock to be exploited. Others are waking up to the understanding that it is all consciousness and that we are, each of us, somehow intimately connected to what transpires in the world. So that's important to know, that we are all waking up from wherever we are at in our consciousness. So in 2012 is when a lot of people were waking up, because a lot of us were coded to wake up. And if you want to learn more about that, that's also in this book. A lot of us coded ourselves before we incarnated to have certain triggers to help us awaken, and 2012 was a major trigger for a lot of us. So for me personally, when I was going through an awakening in 2012, I was consciously unaware of it. It was an unconscious awakening. And what I started doing is I started researching a whole bunch of things. So what it says in this book is when you start waking up to basically like the advertising thing, how everyone's trying to sell you something, how this world's becoming so materialistic, so about money, so about chasing money for happiness, which is the complete opposite of what you're really supposed to be doing, which is actually chasing your joy, following your joy, and that's what's going to lead you to your soul purpose, and that's where your fulfillment lies, is in following your soul and following your joy. So in 2012, I don't have this book anymore, but I bought a book called Affluenza, and it really opened my eyes. And it was like keeping up with the I forget the name, keeping up with the Joneses or something like that. And it's like, stop trying to keep up with everyone else. And like in 2012, I was like, oh my God, yeah, like life is not all about money and chasing money and trying to chase this like illusion of an American dream, like white picket fence, house with a dog and a family, a nice car, like, you know, that is selling a dream that a lot of people can't fulfill. And then when they can't fulfill that dream of chasing money and success, they become depressed and they think their life is meaningless. That's not what life is about. And I started to awaken to that in 2012. I bought all these books, like, this is a really good book, Virus of the Mind. And it's like, see that? All the brands are like, you know, I don't know if you guys could see that. It's all the major brands. Like, if you think about it today, how much brands affect us. Like Gucci. Ooh, if people buy Gucci, they think they are better than other people. They feel better. They feel like they have more of a self-worth. That's fake self-worth. What happens when that's gone? What will you feel like after? You have to find confidence and joy inside yourself. Something that no one can take away from you. So I bought all these books, like, to have to do with how we're all brainwashed as a society to chase these brands, like, and I used to be like that. I used to want to buy like name brand things because I thought like it would make me feel better, and then when I bought them, like, I would feel good about myself. It's to me, that's not what life is about. And that was what I was awakening to in 2012. It really bothered me. And I was like, why is everyone so brainwashed? why are celebrities endorsing this brainwashing, like, and then some people spend like all their money just to buy name brand things, and then they end up like broke. Like, and then there's this funny meme that was going around like, don't buy an expensive ass purse to have nothing in it, buy a cheap purse, save your money, have lots of like money in it. And so, oh my god, this video is already 20 minutes and I don't even think I've really dived into what I wanted to dive into. So let me get back to my journey in 2012. I was awakening to all of that. Basically, that life is not about chasing money and making your self-worth have to do with what you own. And then something that I know a lot of you heard about in 2012 was the end of the Mayan long count calendar. And when I heard about that, that was my first piece of the puzzle. I went crazy after hearing that. I went on like this crazy research frenzy. I heard about the shift of the ages. Like, there was a rumor saying the end of the Mayan long count calendar was the end of the world. I knew that in my heart that it wasn't the end of the world. I never believed in stuff like that. I remember in 2012, in the year 2000, when they said it was the end of the world, I was like 10, and I was like, it's not the end of the world. I don't know what people were talking about, but people like to get all doomsday. And yeah, so when I heard about the end of the calendar wasn't the end of the world, it was the end of an age, I went crazy with ages, and I bought every book there was on ages. And I remember going to Barnes and Noble when they still had a Barnes and Noble, and not everyone just bought their books online on Amazon, but I remember going to Barnes and Noble's, and there was these pamphlets, and they were like 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and I bought them all. I bought all of them from the farthest back they had to the most recent, and I studied them, and I said, why does society and humanity change every decade so drastically? And I started to just question ages, and then I wouldn't shut up about it. Like, my sister even jokes about it with me, or she used to joke about it with me, and she would say, you were like crazy. You were like, the ages, we're coming into a new age. It's the age of Aquarius. The ages are changing. Like, I was like all that in 2012, but I didn't even know what an awakening was. I didn't know that I was going through one, and I didn't know what was going on. And I know I'm taking too long, but I don't care. Whoever wants to watch however long they want to watch, this is for you. I'm making this video and putting it out. If it's too long, I'm not sorry, and I'm done being sorry for just being how I am. I talk a lot, I get off track. Oh well, that's me. So I know you guys are so accepting, and like, people always need to remind me, like, stop apologizing for yourself. Like, I know you guys are so supportive and beautiful, and if you want to watch, you'll watch. If you don't, you'll log off of the video. It really doesn't matter. Whoever's meant to see this will watch it, and I'm sure there are some people who watch the whole thing, but I'm not gonna apologize for making a long video. Like, that's one thing I've always done, and I'm not gonna do that, and I don't need to. Like, I love you guys, and I know that I don't need to apologize to anyone for being myself. And my next video is going to be about what's on my bookshelf, because I have a lot of books. So when I was like diving into ages, I didn't know what was happening exactly. I had no idea about the shift in consciousness, no idea about anything. I just knew the end of the Mayan long count calendar. That's like such a tongue twister. I knew that it was a marking point for a new age, and I just knew, like, my soul was like, the new age is here. And it was basically like the age of Aquarius. So I bought all these astrology books from the UK. Like, they didn't have them on Amazon at the time. I think this one's on Amazon now, but I bought like $300 worth of books about the ages. And somehow the right books always find me, and I found these two. Sky and Psych Cosmos and Consciousness. And this one, which is my favorite, Astrological Ages and the Evolution of Consciousness, because they are tied together. Every time we come into a new age, our consciousness changes, and that excited me so much that I just kept buying all these books. Astrological World Cycles, The Great Ages, and I don't know how all these books found me, but the right books always find me, and like I always buy so many books. Like, I love books, and my awakening is so closely tied to books. Like, I hear a lot of people say, I don't need to read. I don't need to do this or that because I can get all the information within. Well, on my journey, I wasn't there yet. So books actually really helped me expand my consciousness. They helped me through the whole beginning of my awakening, and I will never ever be like, I know enough to not read books. Like, I love books, and to this day I still continue to buy so many books, and I love books. And yes, so I bought all these books about the ages, and I figured out, that's what's happening with the ages. It's not an external thing that's changing, it's an internal thing. It's the evolution of our consciousness, and our consciousness is changing. And after that, like, magic started happening. And so over the next few years, that was the only piece of the puzzle I had, and I still didn't know I was awakening. And eventually I kind of started forgetting about it, and I was just like, okay, yeah, like, I know this, but I have no idea what it has to do with my life. And I just kind of went on with my life, right? And then in 2016, not too long ago, I was going through a weird, like, phase, a very dark phase. It was my dark night of the soul, and I started losing everything around me, and I fell into this pit of darkness. So I was doing a job that I hated. My boyfriend and my daughter's father, who I've been with for over 8 years now, he ended up getting taken to prison for a year, and then I lost my car, and then I lost my house, and I had to let everything go. And during that thing is when I started to get back into all my books, and I started reading and like getting back into that. And then that's when I found out I was going through a spiritual awakening. I found an article explaining what I was going through, and I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. Then I started just reading about all that stuff, but it still didn't help. I was going through such a hard time that I started wanting to die, and I didn't want to live anymore, and I hated life. I saw no point in it, but I couldn't do anything about it because I had a child, and I would never leave my child alone in this world. So it wasn't a question of like, are you gonna do that? It wasn't an option. I had to deal with my life and what was happening, and it was not easy. It was like everything around me was falling apart. Like, her dad got taken from her for a year. We didn't get to see him for a year, and that broke our hearts, and it was hard. And I couldn't handle all the bills and the responsibilities for a year, and I was basically drowning in debt, and like babysitter fees. I could barely afford groceries. I was like having to ask my mom all the time, like, to borrow money to help buy groceries. And since I had no car, I had to order expensive ass groceries like online and have them delivered. And it was just, I was drowning. Everything was getting so hard, so overwhelming. And I remember burying my head in my pillow so many times, crying and screaming out to God and saying, like, why is my life like this? Why is this happening to me? What do I deserve? Like, why do I deserve this? Why am I so miserable? Why do I hate living? Why do I hate waking up every day and despise life. Like, it's like I wanted to wake up and go right back to bed. I was like, oh my God, I'm waking up to this reality, this crap of a life. Like, I want to go back to bed. I don't want to live anymore. I hated it. And eventually, after going through that, I had to let everything go. I had to quit my job. I had to let my house go and get evicted. And I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone while he was in jail, and I was telling him, like, I can't do this anymore. And he was actually helping me take care of things from jail. He would have his lawyer send me money, and it still wasn't enough. Like, he was having to take care of everything, like, from jail. Obviously, you can't really do that for too long. And I told him, like, I can't do this job anymore. I need to quit. I can't, like, do anything. I can't even function as a normal human being right now. I was going through horrible social anxiety issues, becoming, like, more empathic. And I told him, like, I might have to let this house get evicted, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I might go move back to California with my mom. I was living in Nevada at the time, in Las Vegas or Henderson, and I couldn't do it anymore. And so I told him, I think I'm going to do that. And he said, why don't you do that? It sounds like a good idea. When I get home, when I get out of jail, I'll come back to California and we can get a place there together. Why don't you just take a break, like, from life and go stay with your mom? You won't have to work for a little bit. Just take a break. Like, I was going through so much. It's exactly what I needed. So I was like, okay. It actually started sounding good. I'm like, I don't have to work. I could just read, relax. The only thing I wasn't looking forward to is my mom and me don't really get along. If you guys have watched my last video, about, like, my childhood growing up and how my dad verbally abused her. As a teenager, I started taking that on, and I really disrespected her all the time, and I was so mean and horrible to her, and I always took my anger out on her, and it's something that I'm unlearning to do because we still are trying to mend our relationship. And so moving in with her, it wasn't ideal for me, but I had no choice. I literally was forced to. I was so off track on where I was supposed to be in life that the universe, it's like swimming against a current. When you are swimming against a current, there's resistance, and you're trying to still push in the wrong direction. And eventually the universe, like, puts you back on the right track, and it's like you're so out of alignment with where you're supposed to be right now. Just let go. Like, let the current push you in the right direction. And so I finally, like, surrendered, and I was, like, swimming against the flow of the current for so long. I became so unhappy, and I didn't even like living anymore. So when the universe gave me that, well, not gave me a sign, the universe straight up smacked me in my face, took everything from me, took my boyfriend away, took my car, my house, everything that I've ever known was one day gone. And one day I said, okay, you know what? I'm texting my mom and I'm telling her I have to come live with her for a little bit. I can't do this. I'm losing everything. I don't know what's happening. I'm going through something. And yeah, I surrendered. I went with the flow. So instead of swimming against the current, I just let the universe push me to my mom's house. I moved all the way back to California. And I thought at the time, I was thinking, wow, this is rock bottom. You are 20, how old was I at the time? 26 or 7, and you were living with your mother, with your 5-year-old daughter. I think she was 4 at the time. And we lived in this little ass room, and my daughter had to sleep in the bed with me, and I had to leave this beautiful 3-bedroom home that I had where my daughter had her own room. She had this beautiful playroom, like all this stuff, and we put everything into storage, and I only took like my case of books with me and a suitcase. And we went there, and that, funny enough, was when I went through my awakening on full speed. Like, it's when I started believing in ETs, finding out that I was a starseed, learning about the terms light worker, starseed, and finding out about the shift. And it's where I started writing my book. So although I thought that everything was being taken from me, like, there's this quote that says, "This isn't happening to you, it's happening for you." And that's exactly what was happening. Life wasn't happening to me. Like I was saying, why God, why universe, why are you taking everything from me? What did I do to deserve this? It was a blessing in disguise. Everything is happening exactly as it should. And I know that now, but while I was going through that, I didn't know that. And I was like, what the fuck, universe? What the fuck are you doing to me? And I was like, it wasn't too long ago, you guys. Like, it really was just like 2-3 years ago, and 2 years ago, that I went through that in the beginning. And then I was stuck at my mom's house for a year and a half because my boyfriend ended up being in jail way longer than we thought he was going to be. And then after that, he was on probation for 6 months, stuck in probation in Hawaii. So we still couldn't see him. He could only travel for work, and so every time he visited, it was only like once a month, and it was so hard. So I ended up being at my mom's house for like almost 2 years, and I thought it was horrible. And she lived with her new husband, who I did not feel comfortable around, and I didn't know him really, and I didn't really like him, and I was miserable there, and I had horrible social anxiety. So I literally stayed in the room like the whole time. Like, I would not go out if he was in the living room, and so that made it really hard. I had no car, but I could use my mom's car, so I used it to just always be gone anytime I could, out of the house, like just so I didn't have to be in the house, because it was miserable there for me. But that time where I thought was like the hardest thing I've ever gone through ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise, because like I said, I started writing my book there. I started going through my awakening, and I could finally take a break from life in the matrix and just go within. And I found out, like, while I was there, that my sister was going through an awakening with me, and then we started seeing synchronicities together, numbers, and like, it was so beautiful. And so the point in me telling that story is, when you think your life is, everything around you is falling down, it's making room for better things. And in this awakening journey, that's exactly what will happen in the beginning. It's everything that's not in alignment with your soul, everything that's not in alignment with your higher self, your soul, and that's not in your highest good, is gonna leave quick. It's gonna get the fuck out of your life, and you're gonna look around and say, oh my God, my job is gone, my relationship is gone, my car is gone, everything I knew is gone. It's because it wasn't in alignment with your true calling in your soul. So like I said, I was swimming against the current. I was completely off track of what I was supposed to be doing in life, and the universe smacked me in the face and put me on the right track. And so the message here is, if that is happening to you and you are going through some dark times, and maybe your long-term relationship is ending, maybe a job you've had for 10 years doesn't fit you anymore and you need to quit, and you're holding on to it and it's creating resistance and you're unhappy and you're miserable, everything's happening for you, and everything's happening for a reason. So let go. If you don't let go, you will be forced by the universe, like I was. I did not give up. I struggled for over a year trying to swim against the current of my own soul, until the universe was like, dragged me back in the right direction. It's like this huge wave just pushes you back with the flow of the current, if that makes sense. But yes, my phone has 10%, so I'm gonna try to hurry this up. That is my journey of awakening, and I'm still on the beginning of it. And so that was just like the major like turning point for me in my awakening. And now I'm just learning so much on my journey. I'm healing. I'm just doing so much. So I have this list of like things that you go through in an awakening, and I just want to jump to that because I have 10 minutes and I'm already at 40 minutes. And so I labeled this important things that will come up along your journey of awakening. Shadow work. You have to, integrate that shadow self, healing, forgiving, non-judgment, learning that everyone is a mirror of you, and that when you see something in someone that you either love or despise, or it annoys you, or you just brings you joy, it's all within you. It's a reflection of you. So if you see someone and you're like, that person annoys me, like I used to be like that and not know why, and I'd be like, ugh, I just can't stand that person. And then you realize it's something inside yourself that you can't stand, and no longer is there any judgment, because you know that it's not anything they're doing. They're a mirror for something in you that needs some healing. So that's something very beautiful that you learn along your journey, is everyone's a reflection of you. We're all divinity in disguise. We're all one. You learn that too on the path of awakening, and then it makes it harder to judge people because we are here to learn non-judgment and compassion. Everyone is on their own journey in life, and how could you judge them for where they're at on their journey? So just know whatever you see in someone else is a reflection of you. If it bothers you, it's something you need to work on. If you see beauty and joy in someone else, it's because it's in you too. So that's something very important. Also, self-love. You have to learn how to love yourself on this journey, and that's not an easy thing. There's an exercise you do where you look in the mirror and you say, I love you. There was a time I cried doing that because I hated myself so much that I couldn't even look my own self in the mirror and say, I love you. And I am learning to slowly love myself, and we're all doing that, and that is so beautiful. Another thing is empathy. You become very empathic and you start feeling the emotions of others, and you're sensitive to energies. That is what my social anxiety was. I was developing that, but I didn't know what it was. And so I thought I had social anxiety, and I still have it, and I'm still learning how to kind of deal with that. Taking responsibility, not feeling like a victim. On your journey of awakening, you will find that everything in your reality is something you have manifested, and you find out you can't play the victim role any longer. Like, why is this happening to me? Why, universe? Why, God? It's you chose these circumstances before you incarnated, and moment to moment you're creating your reality. So something your thoughts in the past have created where you are right now, and part of being on this journey is accepting that, and accepting you create your own reality. And once you realize that, it's beautiful because you could start to rewrite your story. And I'm gonna plug my phone in because I don't actually want to stop making this video. I really want to keep making it because I have so much to say, but I don't want my phone to die on me. But now I don't have sunlight, and I have nowhere to put my phone. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay. So then, and some other things that will come up on your journey is you learn to differentiate between ego and higher self. And you realize in the third dimension, you've been operating out of your ego the whole time. And now you learn 4. Now you learn to operate out of the heart, out of your soul, from your higher self. And when you learn to differentiate the two, sorry, that word's always so hard for me to say. When you learn to differentiate between the two, you can lean more towards the heart, more towards the higher self, instead of more towards the ego. These are just notes of things I have been going through on my awakening, and so I'm just going down the list. Accepting where you are in life is important on your journey, and accepting where you're at and enjoying the journey. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Enjoy every single step of this journey. Do not be in a rush to get to the end. It's not about the end. It really truly is about the journey and enjoying every present moment while you're going along this journey. And this list is stuff I'm slowly learning, and that's why I'm sharing it with you guys, because you will come across all these things on your journey if you haven't already. And I'm sure many of you have already came across a lot of these things and are learning a lot of these things. And it's just beautiful. This journey is beautiful. Finding your light in the darkness, that's what you do a lot on this journey, is you go through hell. Most of us have awakened because of the hell we've been through, and we have had to find our own inner light through that darkness. And that is that's not everyone though. Some people awaken from like a near-death experience, or like there's so many ways that you can awaken. It's just whatever will shake you out of that slumber. Whatever the universe, it's like taking you and saying, wake up. Like, this is not what life is about. And so whether it's a near-death experience, the death of a loved one, losing everything that you had and having to start over, hitting rock bottom, whatever it may be, it's for you to awaken. And let me get back to my list because I don't know where I'm going with this. That's all I had to say. But when you're awakening, you're moving from fear to love. We're moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. It's a dimension isn't a place that you physically go. It's a consciousness level. So you're not going anywhere. Like on the beginning of my journey, when I was finding out about the new earth and all that, like I didn't understand, and I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, where are the people gonna go that don't awaken and don't raise their vibration? Are we gonna be living in two separate realities on the same earth? Like, what's going on? And I remember the funniest thing, my sister was talking about buying a house. I'm like, buying a house? I'm not buying a house. We're going to the new earth. Like, we might not need to worry about buying anything. Like, the whole money system's gonna change. And I was just like not understanding completely like what was going on. And I just laughed so much at that, because in the Dolores Cannon book that talks about the new earth, she says like there's gonna be custard apples and like all this new stuff on the new earth. And I'm like, I'm going to a new earth. I don't need to worry about buying a house, living in this matrix. I'm out of here soon. Like I wasn't really sure what was going on. And to be honest, not everyone knows exactly what is going to happen, because we're all currently manifesting it. We're manifesting the new reality, and it's not like we're going anywhere. We're here. We're here, and we're going to be here, and it's just a different consciousness level. It's not a physical place you're leaving to, and yeah, so that's just funny. Okay, from fear to love, going with the flow, not resisting. I already said that story. Authenticity, learning to be authentic and truly you, and not operating out of fear. Remember, we're moving from fear to love. We're not operating out of fear anymore. We all still are in some way, even myself, but we're trying to learn to operate out of love, you know? So being authentic and true to yourself, and not being scared of what others think of you. I just made that video the other day. That's operating out of fear. If you're afraid to really truly shine your authentic light, you're operating out of fear. What will they think of me? They'll think I'm crazy. What if I express my truest feelings about what I'm going through, like with awakening, or feeling like you're a starseed or a light worker? It's like fear. It's like, what will they think of me? And I did that for the longest time, until finally I was like, I don't care what they think of me. I'm here to shine my light. I'm here to talk about what I'm going through so that it could help others on their journey. It's not about worrying about what people will think of me. It's about doing the mission that I'm here to do in this lifetime. And for me, That's expressing myself in a raw, authentic, transparent way. So that was a big one for me, learning to be authentic and true to yourself and true to your soul. Lots of purging I wrote, because every negative, fear-based emotion is going to come to surface. Your shadows are going to come to the light, and you're going to have to heal that shit and transmute it, and that is not an easy process, and I'm still going through that. So that's just something that happens on your awakening journey. Dark night of the soul, I put, or dark year of the soul, because I went through that shit for years. That's another thing, finding your light in the dark. When you go through dark night of the soul, it's to help you find your inner light. Synchronicity, you'll start seeing synchronicities. You will see numbers everywhere. They will stalk you. You'll be like, what the fuck? You'll check your phone, 1111. As I just said, that was 5111. You'll start seeing them everywhere. They're called angel numbers, and they all hold different meanings, but I was obsessed with finding out the meaning in the beginning of my journey. Now I'm just like, angel number. What was I thinking about then? And noticing what I was thinking about, and just seeing it as signs that you're on the right path. But if you're interested in looking up the meanings, which I still do sometimes, my favorite website is Willow Soul and Joan's Sacred Scribes, I think it's called. But Willow Soul is my favorite one. And just type in angel numbers, Willow Soul, or if you see a specific number and you want to know the meaning, just Google angel number meaning 111, 444, 555, 1212, 1111, 1010, 911. Like, I see so many, so I'm just throwing out the ones that I see, because they're not always just 1111. Finding your soul tribe. On your journey, it's a very lonely journey, and you'll feel very alone, and you'll feel like no one gets you, no one knows what I'm going through. And then the universe will throw people in your life that are going through this too, and you'll meet each other, and it'll be beautiful. And it's been happening to me. It might take a while. Don't lose hope. If you haven't found them yet, it's for a reason. It's because you need to go inside some more, and you need to kind of sit with yourself and go through that process. Later on, whenever it's meant to happen, because everything's happening in divine timing, exactly as it should. Don't doubt that for a second. Every single thing is happening exactly as it should. When they are meant to show up in your life, they will, and it will be beautiful and joyous. But if you haven't found them yet, wherever you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be. So don't worry, trust, have faith in the universe. Being in the flow and alignment, I talked about that. All the right people, places, and things will come to you on this journey when you're in alignment with your soul, when you're following your heart and your soul, not following money. Don't follow, like, what is going to make me money? Let me spend my time and my energy doing that. No. Spend your time and your energy finding joy, finding the things that make you happy. Then you will come into alignment. Then the right people, places, and things will come into your life. Then you'll see all these synchronicities. It's like when you're in alignment with your highest self, and you're finding your true calling, you're following your heart, you're following your soul, you're finding your joy, and you're following that, and staying true to you, then all those things kind of fall into place. And that's just starting to happen for me. Like I said, I'm not too far along on my journey, and I'm experiencing all these things on this list, so that's why I wrote it down, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Becoming aware of your multidimensionality, is that a word? Just becoming aware that you're multidimensional, and kind of realizing, I don't know if this is more for just starseeds, because I know like a lot of people awakening might not ever come into contact with that whole alien multidimensional self thing, but for me that is like the most exciting thing on my journey, is finding that out. And we've all lived on other dimensions and on other planets, and most of us awakening right now have came here from those higher dimensions to bring that beautiful higher vibrational energy to our human life right now, and kind of embody that beautiful light and send it out into the world so it could help them awaken and trigger them into awakening. So that is beautiful. And another thing is, the last thing I wrote is that we have a lot of assistance on this journey. You may feel like you are alone in this journey, but you have so many people with you in the spirit realm, like your star family. Ascended masters are here to help, angels, archangels, your higher self, the universe, everyone's on your side, and you could always call in those energies for help, for assistance. They're here to assist with our awakening and our shift. So that's all I could think of. The video is about to end at 5555, so I just want to say thank you for watching and love you guys. Bye. Oh. Oh my god, that always happens. I always try to like end it and then it doesn't. And that was a cheesy ass ending. Anyways, I was trying to rush so it ended at 5555, but it doesn't have to be at 5555. Well, since I'm still here, I'm trying to think of anything else that I might want to talk about. Just the last thing I saw. In the beginning of your journey, you will question whether all of this stuff is real, and you will go through a phase where you think you're going crazy, or you might question, like, am I going crazy? Like, what? Is all this stuff really real? And if you guys are watching this and you're in that phase, like, no, you're not crazy. You are experiencing something so beautiful, and it's very real, and it's very beautiful. And so no, you're not going crazy. And another thing I wanted to add is, on the beginning of my journey, I was confused and I had no idea what the fuck I was going through. And I would message random people on Instagram, because I went through a phase where I unfollowed everyone on Instagram and started following all these spiritual pages, which is the best thing that I've ever done in my life. And if you guys haven't done that, that's how you'll find people like you and that are going through things that you're going through. Like, go down the spiritual awakening hashtag and follow people from there, like, that are going through a spiritual awakening, people who get you. That's very important for me personally on my journey, how I found all my soul tribe, how I found people to relate to what I was going through, was doing that and following spiritual pages and stuff like that. So I in the beginning of my journey, I was confused, and I would message random people on Instagram and I'd be like, do you know what an awakening is? Are you going through a spiritual awakening? Can you tell me what this is? And I'm not going crazy. Like, and I was lucky enough to find so many beautiful souls who helped me along and helped me find like out what I was going through and kind of explaining it better. And so if you're confused about your journey, message random people, message me, ask me anything. If I can help, I will. I don't know everything, but whatever I know, I could help you with. And don't be afraid to just ask around. Like, if you have questions about something, ask. We're all here to help each other. We're all on this journey together. We're in it together. Together we rise. This is so beautiful that we can connect through the screen, through social media platform. Like, we're connecting with people all around the world that are going through awakening. So this is very beautiful, and that's all I could think about. So I am actually going to end the video for real this time. And thank you so much for watching. If anyone got this far, this is going to be a long video to upload. I hope it uploads, but I will be posting it probably today or tomorrow. So thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being on this journey with me. And for anyone I've connected with, you have been a blessing to connect with. So bye.